guys, welcome to Steeler Nation Live. Big Tiz,
Big O.
we're here on another exciting edition of Steeler Nation Live. The Steelers played the Chicago Bears. It was a game that we can barely stand to watch.
Barely stand. I like that, Big Tiz. But you know what? Like you said last show, nothing but up from here. And we're going to get into that later in the show. But we did pretty decent.
Yeah, we did. I mean, there was some aspects out of all of it. We scored more points than I thought we would have scored. But you know what? That shows that we can do it. We just got to do it on a continual basis.
Absolutely. And we'll talk more in depth about that during the show, where we talk about our, what went right, what went wrong. But let's not jump the gun here. Let's talk about the game in perspective. We went out there, and it wasn't good from the beginning.
Right.
There's this thing called holding on to the ball, and you can't give the ball away. Once you give the ball up, they have another chance to score.
Exactly. And that's one of the things. And we didn't give ourselves a fair chance to win this game with all the continued turnovers. Or if we weren't turning the ball over, we just weren't putting. It just seems like to me it's not a full effort going on right now.
Right. It's like shuffling sand. You take one step forward, two steps back.
Exactly.
And once again, we're putting all the pressure on the defense. And we'll talk about that later in the show. But it's got to be a two-way street, Big Tiz.
Right.
You can't have the defense playing the whole game and the offense sitting resting on the sideline, and when they come in 3 and out, then the defense has got to go back out there.
Exactly.
And the only bad thing about that, one of the stats that I don't like, for the amount of time the defense is out there, 0 turnovers.
Exactly.
0 turnovers, and you can't win ball games like that. And it proved last night. Or not last night, last night, that the giveaways are killers. You give the ball away once, twice, it happens. Make mistakes. But when you give the ball up 5 times and the opposing team scores 23 points off those turnovers, folks, do the math.
Exactly. And like I said, especially for a defense it's got some age on it, but they played well enough to win, I feel. And people have to look at that aspect of it as well. I mean, the defense, they did the stops that they needed to, except, later on in the game. But things happen when the guy caught the ball in the corner of the end zone.
It was a perfectly thrown ball.
Right, exactly.
You really can't defend that. In my opinion, he was out. He didn't have total control of the ball. He did, 2 feet did touch in. We talked about this before the show.
Right.
2 feet did touch in. But after that 1 foot touch in, did he have control of the ball? He didn't have control of the ball.
Exactly.
But when he gained control, that 1 foot that hit the ground, it was up in the air and it landed out of bounds. So it should have been a no touchdown. But you know what? We've talked about this before. We cannot put ourselves in a position to let the referees decide the outcome of the game.
Exactly.
Shouldn't be considered. We should be winning these games on ourselves, losing these games by ourselves. But we don't need the referees' help because we're doing a pretty darn good job losing by ourselves.
Well, one good thing we wanted to say that went on during the game was the return of Heath Miller. Huge to the Steelers faithful.
And it showed, Big Tiz. We opened up the offense. And we'll talk about that later in the show. We don't want to give everything away right now because then the show will be over in 5 minutes. But hang in there, folks. We'll talk more about that later. But let's get about what we talked about last week.
Right.
Setting up this game, what we had to do to defeat the Bears. And pretty much we did everything on our grocery list there, Big Tiz.
Yeah. And we said the same thing. The main thing in the game was we knew that Chicago Bears would try to control the game with short passing, and especially short passes to their running backs. And that's exactly what they did. Short passes, and they mixed it up a little bit with the run. But the short passes is what opened up and made us drop back. And I don't understand why we aren't doing that.
Oh, absolutely. Defense stood tall. Ike Taylor, once again, star player of the game.
Exactly.
To cover a guy twice your size and keep him in check the whole game, I think he had 6 catches for 50-something yards, and we all know what we're talking about.
Right.
And without a touchdown, that's amazing. That's fantastic. But I think the Steelers are now developing a defensive scheme in the secondary to focus on these main players.
Right.
Also, Bennett coming out of the backfield, he did have a touchdown, however, but he only had 2 catches the whole game. And that's what their main focus. The Bears were the game before the Steelers.
Exactly. And like I said, they did everything that we needed to do, and we just didn't execute that game plan. I'm still trying to figure that out, and I know a lot of you guys out there are still trying to figure that out, what's going on with us offensively, you know. And I didn't hear too many grumblings about the defense, so that tells me as well as the way I feel that the defense is on a halfway decent accord, you know, right now.
Right, and I've seen a nice gelling between Woodley and Jarvis Jones. They're starting to play together. These are the bookends that I would not want to see if I'm opposing quarterback. But the problem now is that McClendon is not doing his job in the middle.
Exactly.
And that's forcing our interior linebackers to help out. Now, I guess it's either feast or famine with our defensive line. Either the linebackers doing great and the linemen are doing crappy, or it's vice versa. The running backs are getting out on the outside, going down the line, and we're plugging up the holes. We have to be a well-oiled machine. We have to do everything together.
Exactly, and that's the main thing. Everything has to be done by execution, and it starts up front. And I hear a lot of guys been talking the last couple of days about execution, and execution starts up front with the line, and that line they have to get their blocks together. And you brought up something earlier today, which I didn't know about, was the blocking type scheme that we were using.
Oh, on the offensive line, yeah. A lot of people don't understand this, and we didn't actually understand it either until we did a little investigating and trying to find out what is going on. Because sometimes, less than not, that we're getting blocking. We're giving Ben a lot of time. We have a couple long rushes and don't understand what was going on. So me and Tiz, we put our heads together today. We're checking our notes, game film, and everything like that. And it's right there in front of our face. That the offensive line coach that we just hired this year, he changed the blocking scheme.
Right.
What the Steelers were known for is power run blocking. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much you block that guy, you block that guy. Now he's got to zone.
Yeah, it's a zone type blocking.
A zone type of blocking where you have to. Where the defense, if they know you're doing this, they have schemes and stunts they can penetrate this. And you know what, folks? This is what's happening. We need to go back to that power run blocking. Simple. It sounds simple, but that's why it's right there in front of our noses. I think this is something that we need to key on, and I think the Steelers organization has to do it too. They need to look at how we were blocking before. That's why we have no run game anymore.
Exactly.
Because you can't establish a run game with zone blocking.
Exactly. Well, I mean, right now, we can say this and we can say that about that game, but what it all equates to is, let's talk about the factors of the loss. And the factors of the loss is that the Steelers now are 0-3.
Right.
0-3 in a division that's got the two heavyweights right now in the AFC North. Cincinnati Bengals at 2-1, and I believe the Baltimore Ravens now are 2-1.
2-1, that's right. Cleveland Browns are 1-2. Steelers are 0-3. But getting back to our shopping list, the grocery list of what we needed to do to beat these Bears, I don't remember seeing anywhere on the list, give the ball away 5 times.
Right.
You take that shopping list and you check off every item that we did. Contained Butler. Contained the wide receivers, contained the running backs, contained the tight ends, kept us in the game. You take 23 points off that scoreboard, folks, we win this game. And it's a whole different animal. You don't have Ben trying to squeeze the ball in 60 yards down in triple coverage to try and make something happen.
Exactly.
We go back to the run. And we'll talk about that later in the show with the statistics, that we didn't really have that bad of a rushing game.
Not really. I mean, when you look at the overall aspect of it, the rushing game wasn't that bad. Granted, we did have the turnovers by Felix Jones, and
he got popped though.
Yeah,
he got hit.
But the thing about it is, no matter what, when you look at it in the NFL aspect, you have to hold on to that ball.
You're getting paid. You need to hold on to the ball.
Exactly.
Right, but he did get popped.
Well, you know what? And besides the running game, the wide receivers, great game by our wideouts, especially Antonio Brown, stood out above all of our wideouts. Sanders, he had, I believe he had 1 or 2 catches. I'm not positive. It wasn't a lot.
Probably could have had a couple more in the first quarter if Ben didn't settle in too late and hit them wide receivers that are wide open. Maybe, like I said last show, he's got time now, and he's open.
Right.
We haven't seen that since last year.
Yeah. One thing I'm excited about now is Marcus Wheaton is in the game now. So they're starting to make and create plays for this guy. Because this guy is actually, almost to me, that same effect as a San Antonio Holmes.
Oh,
He's a game breaker.
And he had a great catch against the Bills. If you didn't see a 69-yard touchdown by San Antonio Holmes, that pretty much put the game out of reach for the Jets. But we don't want to talk about them bums. We want to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what we're here for. And let's get into what went, well, we kind of have an idea of what went wrong, but we need to talk about it. So what are some things, Big Tiz, that we did wrong to help the Bears win this game?
Well, if you want to go to what went wrong, you can start off with the turnovers. 5 turnovers will kill anyone's chances of winning a game. And believe me, that's not the record because we had 8 turnovers last year versus the Cleveland Browns.
And we still almost won that game.
Right. But it was a loss.
It was a loss.
And we had 5 turnovers in this game, which we still had a chance to win it. And, you know, like I said, it always ends up on the 0 loss column when those turnovers. Turnovers are so costly, and we have too many of them right now.
Right. And the thing about the turnovers as well, on the other side of the coin, is we're not creating any turnovers. We did not create any turnovers yesterday. That could have kept us in the game. At least we didn't have to score off these turnovers, but we could have slowed down the Bear offense.
Right.
Enough to give, you know, a defense a rest. Get out there instead of these 3 and outs. You know what I'm saying? So not only do we have to stop giving the ball away, we have to start taking the ball away because that's what Pittsburgh was known for years in the past. Taking the ball.
Well, and then you also have to look at it as we had penalties, but the penalties weren't as major as we usually have them for Pittsburgh.
Right. We're getting back to the norm around 5 to 6 penalties a game. Last week, I believe 3 penalties.
Right.
But Mo was a huge one. So, you know, we're starting to get away from that, hopefully. Special teams, I don't remember one flag on special teams last night.
Yeah, there was one, and it was a holding on, I believe it was a punt return. Punt return or a kickoff. I believe it was a punt return. There was a one holding penalty. But overall, I'm very pleased with our special teams, with the kicking aspect of it,
right,
and also with the coverage aspect of it.
Oh,
so
huge.
I'm very, very pleased with that. And you have to look at every aspect of a team and of a game to be a true fan. And like I said, that's one place where we need, you know, because if we have so much problems with our special teams, that would wreak havoc on the rest of the squad.
Right. The penalty, roughing the kicker. Good call, bad call?
That was a good call.
I mean, you don't usually see that. I remember one game, I can't remember which game was last week, where a punter got hit and the referee didn't wave it off because of the motion of the kicker's leg was that, so it looked like he was trying to sweep his leg into the defender. But
right.
So it's rarely called, and from what it was a good shot.
Oh yeah.
To defenseless kicker. Zoltan Mesko. I'm still trying to get his jersey.
So if anyone out there, could you please get big old that Mesko jersey? He needs it. He wants it. So you know what? Anybody who could support a punter, you got to get him one.
Yeah, I was a kicker in high school football, so I know what it's like. So,
well, the other thing is, I believe we did have pressure on Cutler. The problem was that he squiggled out of a couple of them.
that
where we had sacks.
one 3rd and 13, that pretty much killed us.
That kind of killed us. But the pressure was there to make him step up. But like you said, McClendon and other guys, you got to stay in your lanes, or you got to get that push, and they're not getting it.
And that's, we'll talk about that more how against the Vikings next week, how we need to seal that the middle defensive line. We'll talk about that later in the show. But no sacks, or how many sacks did we have? We had a couple sacks.
Well, yeah, we had 2 sacks, and there were 2 good sacks because Cutler actually in his last 85 dropbacks, and this is a span of over these 3 games, he wasn't sacked. But one time, and we sacked him twice last night. And I'm not sure if it was 3 times. Don't quote me on it, but I think it was 2 times that the sack that happened last night with the Steelers. So,
and getting back to the offensive line, what went wrong? Marcus Gilbert, and Mike Adams. I don't know what happened. They forgot how to block all of a sudden.
Yeah, these guys, they need a lot of help at that position, and in the tackles you have to be able to block.
Oh, and Mike Adams, he's the guy on the left side. He's Ben's protector, supposed to be. So that protects Ben from getting blindsided.
Right.
Great movie, Blindside. Pick it up at your local Blockbuster or Redbox. But that's huge. And And we could talk all day till we're blue in the face about it. Oh, we're rebuilding, got young guys. These are not guys that we just picked off the sideline. These are guys that we just didn't draft. You know, these are guys that first-round picks, second-round picks.
Exactly. And actually, they said Roethlisberger had a meeting with these guys just to let the linemen know, let's get it together. You guys have been #1 draft choices on this squad. You should be playing better than this, basically what he's trying to get across to them. And I don't blame him because every time they mess up, that's his head.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, we need to resort back to that run blocking, that run power blocking. I think they'll give these guys a chance. They're not meatheads, they're not idiots.
Right.
But we got to change channels.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? We have to, if it's not working, we have to resort back to what did work. I know it's not rocket science, but for some reason we're not doing that. I think let's give it a shot. Next Sunday against the Vikings, let's go to some power run blocking. We don't necessarily have to run the ball. This just sets up more time for Roethlisberger to find these open receivers. And now that Heath Miller is back, that opens up a variety of plays. Not to mention Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon likes his money. And
Let's hope he does.
And hopefully in London he's going to earn a big chunk of that money. He's going to prove to us and the Steelers fans that we do have a running game.
Well, the thing that I've heard last night is that they're not sure. It's a 50-50 chance that he might play in London or he might not. And even if he doesn't, oh well, you know what I mean? Give him another extra week because the Steelers actually have a bye after the London game.
Oh, thank God.
Yes, we need it big time too.
Regroup. And plus, the travel might affect his foot. We don't know how that's going to be. But the boot has been off for almost a week now. He has been fully practicing with pads. So I understand we didn't want to rush Heath Miller, put him in last night, but he looked fine. No reports today of any stiffness or any soreness. He's ready to go. He's ready to jump on that plane and get on over there next week to London.
Well, you know what, guys? We talked about a lot of things that didn't go right in that game against the Chicago Bears. Let's talk about some things that went right in that game. And let's start off with the Steelers having 459 yards of total offense.
That's more than the first two games combined.
Exactly.
That's like I said earlier in our past two shows, we have nothing but up. And what's not scary to me is that, yeah, we're doing baby steps, but we are going up. Slowly but surely, we are going up. And it's better than being flatline. It's better than going backwards, because teams can go backwards, folks. I know you're at this plateau down here, but it could get worse.
Right. Oh, yeah, it could.
No injuries, too.
Which is big.
And we're staying healthy.
Well, Ben actually had a decent day passing. Let's minus the interception, which one of them actually wasn't his fault. I mean, the receiver, Kotri, didn't put his hands up in time, so the defensive back sure put his hands up in time.
He sure did.
So, you know what? That all wasn't
too.
his. You know what? And to be honest, even just saying that, I'm not even sure how long Kotri stay is going to be in Pittsburgh, because there are a lot of grumblings about Kotri not really putting out the way he should be. So
as a veteran receiver, he should be.
Right.
He should be on that sideline. He should be yelling and screaming his head off, getting these young receivers in there. Speaking of that, not to get off the subject, but do you think what Brown did yesterday had anything to do with his sidelines rant with Haley last week?
Very possible. Very possible. It could be to the point that Brown wants to be more part of the offense.
The squeaky receiver gets the ball. Is that
exactly
what it is?
You know what? Mike Wallace did the same thing down in Miami, and they had a field day.
Yep. And we'll talk about that later, folks. Later on the show, is what are they doing now?
Well, exactly.
And you know that's part of the show where we take Mike Wallace, Rashard Mendenhall, and James Harrison, and we'll show you, the fans, who probably haven't been following them, how have they been lately? What have you done for me lately? And we'll talk about that later in the show. But let's continue on talking about the good stuff, because we did good stuff, folks. We did. Believe it or not, the score doesn't show it, but we did do pretty good. Yes.
Well, actually in that game, we also had 80 yards of offense, 80 yards rushing of offense, I should say. And, you know, like I said.
And that's double from the first two games.
Exactly. I mean, it was a mix and match, and we did see some brilliance coming from Dwyer. A couple good runs out there on the outside, and we see some good runs from Felix Jones. So,
right, absolutely.
I mean, we're going in a direction, but it has to be a constant direction.
Right, and also we talked about this early about Ike Taylor taking Marshall out of the game, pretty much, except for that one fantastic grab he made. And
right.
you know what? You can only cover so much. You
Exactly.
can only do so much. And he's half his size. He held him to no touchdown. So that was fantastic.
Right. And as we alluded to earlier, our special teams.
Special teams.
Great job by our special teams.
Don't want to jinx Swisham, but he hasn't missed a field goal yet.
Right. Swisham's been making them. Actually, I'm always surprised. I'm always looking for, right now, the way things have been going lately for Pittsburgh, I'm always looking for, we'll miss the field goal. We'll do this. We'll do something stupid. And he's been one of the steady rudders in the water for Pittsburgh.
That's right. So, Rudy on the phone. What's going on with Rudy? We could talk to Rudy at all?
Yes, we are. You know what, guys? We're going to bring in our top guy from Los Angeles, Rudy Dog Reyes. He's going to fill you guys in on his thoughts and what's going out there on the West Coast and fill us in here on the East Coast, bringing that Steeler Nation bridge together. Next up on Steeler Nation Live. We head from our Rochester, New York studios of Steeler Nation Live out west to California, checking out our new addition to the show, Rudy Dog Reyes. Man, this guy's live. We gotta meet him here on Steeler Nation Live. Rudy, how are things going with you today on Steeler Nation Live?
Big Tiz, Big O, good afternoon. This is Rudy Dog Reyes from Southern California, reporting live. Wanting to give you guys the ultimate feedback and my thoughts of Steeler Nation out here in the Southern California area, as well as what I've heard from my friends all over the country. And right now, Todd Haley's firing is by far the first number one part of the agenda. The outing last night was a complete debacle. It was misery on display. Ben Roethlisberger had way too many turnovers. He was sacked a few times. Offensive line is not holding up. We did have moments of brilliance with Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Jericho Cotchery, and the return of the leading reception leader for the Steelers, and that would be Heath Miller. I'm glad to see him back. I'm very happy. I'm just confused as to why he wasn't utilized more in the short passing game. He did do some blocking for Ben, but again, not utilized as much as he could have. And because we were so down, we abandoned the run. There were moments where Jonathan Dwyer was able to make this 40, 50-yard sprint, but that was about it. Defensively, we looked okay. Secondary was, again, suspect. I don't believe that William Gates' return was all that necessary. We could have certainly found someone else to take that position, and we let Lewis go. Now he plays for the New Orleans Saints. Right now, Big Tiz, Big O, there's some serious issues going on with the Steelers' offense, and not so much with the defense other than the secondary. So with that being said, we have a lot of work to do. Yes, we're 0-3, but you know what? We can do this. We can turn this around. We can get it going. We can make it rolling, and the Steeler Nation is going to roll right down the track. I believe we have the talent to win against Minnesota at Wembley and London. Lots of many different things have been, put across my path as far as fans' disgruntledness with Todd Haley. Not to sound like a broken record, Big Tiz or Big O, but Todd Haley certainly needs to do some readjusting and or be let go from his respective position and find someone else who can certainly take his spot. And I guarantee there are people out there and offensive coordinators in the past for other teams that can probably do a better job. Again, just my opinion, just my thoughts on that, guys. And with that being said, we got to get this going. We have to get it rolling. Big Tiz, Big O, we have a lot to do, a lot to be said, and a lot to be desired right now for the 2013 Steeler football season. So I have faith in the Roonies to get something done on that side of the ball. And again, if Todd Haley's firing comes to pass, then so be it. It's unfortunate, it's tragic, but, you have to do what you have to do for the team. So with that being said, you guys, I have one word, and that I know that you know what it is, and it's Pittsburgh.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home, look no further than Dan Powell. Dan knows that buying or selling a home is one of the most important things you will ever do. Dan wants to make that experience as smooth and successful as possible. Dan's extensive expertise in the real estate market will benefit you whether you're looking to buy or sell a home. Once Dan knows what you want, he will work tirelessly to find the right home for you, because no one should compromise when it comes to such a huge purchase. Whether you're looking for homes for sale, moving resources, or even mortgage information, everything you need is right here with Dan. Dan will always be available for personal service by phone or email, so feel free to contact him with questions at any time. So when buying or selling a home, don't get frustrated or throw in the towel. Just call Dan Powell at 585-704-8324. That's 585-704-8324, or email Dan at dan@rochhomefinder.com. That's Dan at ROCHOMEFINDER.com. Welcome back to Steeler Nation Live. I'm Big O.
I'm Big Tiz.
And we just want to thank Rudy Root Dog Reyes for that great report from California, our West Coast affiliate. Rudy, we appreciate everything you do out there in the West Coast and all them great fans from Los Angeles and everybody around there in the West Coast.
That's what I say, people. You got to check this guy out. This guy is going to be the bridge. He's going to bridge that gap from East Coast to West Coast. And like I said, he's doing a phenomenal job. So, Rudy, much big ups to you. Thanks again, too, from Steeler Nation Live.
That's right. West Coast, East Coast, North, South, we're all Steeler fans no matter what, where you live, what state, we're all Steeler fans. Let's wave them towels, folks. Let's get them out. Let's wave them.
We got to bring ours on the show, huh?
We should.
Oh,
Let's do it now. Man.
Hey, but you know what? Now let's get into the part of the show where we want to find out injuries. And injuries is one thing that's had devastated the Steelers for the last couple seasons.
But you know what, Big Tiz? Things are looking up. We all know we get bumps and bruises and cuts and scrapes and minor pulls and muscle tweaks and stuff like that. It's expected. You're over 300 pounds, you're running at 100 miles an hour, and you're hitting each other. Injuries are going to happen, but you know what? We're getting better, and the MASH unit might have to fold and shut down for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The major injuries we have right now, Cortez Allen still has that ankle injury. I don't think he's going to make the trip over across the pond, but you know who is. We talked about it earlier, Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon likes his money, and he's going to be making over in London. So I'm not sure, like Big Tiz says, if he's going to even play. It's a game time decision, depending on the flight, how he's feeling when he gets over there. And plus we have a bye week after that. Give him time to rest. Don't want to push it because Felix Jones and Dwyer are starting to gel, starting to mix. And the blocking's starting up there too. Like we talked about earlier, Le'Veon Bell, the boot has been off over a week. He's been practicing in full pads.
Yep.
And this kid's ready to go. Other than the minor injuries that we see on a daily basis, I think we're full steam ahead.
It looks that way, and like I said, I hope that the rest, and maybe even one more game, to be honest, just to make sure that he's in tip-top shape. That'll give him another 2 weeks to work on or tweak out any little pains that he has, just to get it under his belt and so he can move forward. And I can see this guy, with his size and his speed, being a great asset for the Steelers in that run game.
Right, and like I said, 12-4, we only got lost 3. We can do this, folks. We could lose one more. You know, one of them games we should have, could have won. All right, then that's 4 losses. But I really do think that we're going to, after this bye week, and hopefully before the bye week against the Minnesota Vikings, who lost to the Browns, I think we'll start there, get a rest, and then continue to flow when we come back from the bye week.
Exactly.
Speaking about flowing, let's talk about some game stats there, Big Tiz. We all know the score was 40-23.
Right.
But the score doesn't depict how the Steelers actually played this game. Like we talked about earlier with the 5 turnovers, 23 points. Do the math, folks. We win this game. We talked about this earlier, but we have to start creating takeaways. We have to take the ball away, not give it away. This isn't Christmas. Not yet. You know what, Big Tiz?
Yep, that's the main thing. And we got to start getting some takeaways. And even those 3 points off of a takeaway, those things add up. And that's one thing we do need. The takeaways have to be at the right times. The Chicago Bears, they were getting them at deadly times for us. And we have to start doing that to teams. And don't get me wrong, our defense, like I said earlier, I believe that they played decent. They played decent enough to keep us in games.
Right. Right now we can't really ask too much more of them because they're pretty much doing everything right now.
Right.
But a turnover and a pick six or even a fumble, even an interception, something to stop the momentum of the other team, that's huge. It's going to be huge. We need to do that.
Exactly.
And the total yards, let's talk about the total yards. We almost doubled what the Bears did. Pittsburgh had, 459 total yards and 258 for the Bears. That's because two of their scores came from a pick six and a fumble six.
Exactly. So, like I said, it was 2 touchdowns right there just given away.
Right, and the time of possession was pretty much about the same, give or take a minute or two. The Bears had, for 31 minutes, we had it almost 29 minutes.
Yeah.
So, unlike last week when we had the ball for 5 minutes, and, you know, it just, you can't win ball games when your offense is not on the field. And we also talked about keeping the Bears' offense off the field and generating some offense for us, because if they're not on the field, they can't score.
Exactly. And that's the thing we have to do. Like I said, Pittsburgh is notorious for like having a lot of 3-and-outs, and these are things that we have to. That's why I said with the smaller offense, to where you're doing this dink and dunk down the field. To me, that's right now that's the best offense for Pittsburgh, only because a lot of other teams run it and they run it effectively. That's exactly what New England runs.
Game control.
Yes.
You gotta control the game. Your offense is out there. Give your defense some rest. Keep their offense off the field. Also, let's take a look at Cutler's stats. Mediocre at best, I would say. 20 for 30, 159 yards, but he did have that 1 TD.
Exactly.
I mean, that's average.
What is that? What is that in fantasy? Maybe 17 points?
Not
You know,
even.
equates to?
Not even. That's a good point. I need to check that out. Let's see. Forte, 16 carries, 87 yards. He did, however, have 1 TD.
Right. It was a short TD, but it was a touchdown.
It was, and that's those yards are including, you know, passes out of the backfield. It's not straight up running.
Right.
So this is combined. So he really didn't do too much on the ground. Off the checklist, we contained him.
Right.
Bennett, 2 catches for 22 yards. However, a TD. There's not much you can do. You know, but we did contain him to 2 catches, and that's pretty much their bread and butter.
Right. Right. And we did. Like I said, the defense did what they had to do. I mean, that's all we can say on that. But actually, our numbers were impressive, but a lot of our numbers came from rallying, trying to come from behind. Roethlisberger, 26 of 41 for 406 yards and 2 touchdowns, both of them to Antonio Brown.
Right.
And like I said, a lot of them was trying to rally, and we were almost to that point. So it's not much more you can say.
How did Heath Miller do, Big Tiz?
Heath Miller, 3 catches for 35 yards. That was great numbers for a guy just coming back, especially off of a devastating knee injury.
That's right. He looked sharp. A couple of plays, I was, you know, wincing a couple of times watching him get up, but they knocked him down. He got right back up, and that was impressive. So I was a little worried about him playing last night, but he showed up and he did pretty decent.
Now here are some big stats from the game. Dwyer, 12 for 39. That's great for a Pittsburgh back.
Oh,
Unbelievable,
absolutely.
but it is right at
Believe
this
it or
moment.
not. Oh boy, we're used to seeing 12 carries for 139 yards.
Exactly.
Oh,
And
We're
also,
getting there.
and we had Felix Jones, 7 carries for 34 yards, which was decent, you know, except for, like I said, the fumble that he had. But he got rocked on that one.
he got popped. He got popped, Big Tiz, excuse me.
So, I mean, if you look at those things, and actually, like I said, our receiving core, which more or less was Antonio Brown. Great
Right.
day. Great day by this guy. 2 touchdowns, 2 nice touchdowns.
That's right. Oh, that amazing catch, a one-handed grab.
Oh, yeah, in the back of the end
That was
zone.
beautiful. It was almost like your high school days there, Big Tiz.
Oh,
Bring back memories?
oh, let's go on. But
All
anyway.
right. Don't want to dwell too much on Big Tiz and his memories. So, we talked last week about what we had to do to defeat the Bears. We pretty much did it, but we lost. What are we going to have to do next week across the pond in London to defeat these Vikings?
Good question. Well, the number one thing is going to start off with, and this is almost the same exact MO of the Chicago Bears, honestly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Same type of runner, except for a more stronger and powerful runner, who's not more of a receiver out of the backfield as Forte would have been.
Right,
so more or less,
right?
yeah. So more or less, it's just the Steelers having to stay in their lanes when they're rushing,
Absolutely.
trying to control him, and that's the main thing. Stop Peterson.
And what we're going to have to also do, when I was watching the Vikings against the Browns play somewhat similar defense to the Steelers, that Ponder is going to kill them up the middle. And they like to do this delay quarterback draw, which Ponder scored a touchdown on to take the lead, even though they lost. But watching the whole game, Ponder doesn't like to leave that pocket. And they have set plays when the defensive line is open, he will run the ball up the middle. Even if it's a pass play, he will run with the ball. And we have to get McClendon, we have to get him in the center, and like you just said, Big Tiz, we have to get our guys in our lanes.
Right, exactly.
Straight up. Plug up the middle, because if Peterson bounces to the outside, which I doubt, he's got to deal with Woodley on one side and Jarvis Jones on the other. And so far we've been doing a great job with that, containing the running backs up the middle, but that's our weak spot. Tight ends and running backs up the middle. We have to plug those holes.
Well, like I said, and that's the main thing. And also, our defensive line, McClendon, you guys in the middle, we have to put pressure on Ponder. Ponder is one of those guys that if he feels jittery in the pocket, he's not going to do well.
No, you get his hand in his face, you show him some pressure, knock him around a little bit, sack him, get some, create splash plays that have him force him into interceptions or hand the ball off and fumbles. That's what we have to do. We have to get him off his game, and it's not going to be that hard. Just a little pressure there, Big Tiz.
Yeah, that's what we have to do. And like you just said earlier, we have to create turnovers. That's the main thing. Pittsburgh, we have no turnovers again this year. Last year we went through big stretches of the season with no turnovers. And here we are again, same MO, no turnovers in our third game of the season.
Right, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable for the stature of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the history of that defense. We have to create turnovers. Not necessarily score off these turnovers just yet. Let's at least get them first.
Right.
And stop the momentum. If we 3 and out, as long as we stop their momentum and we push them back for now.
Right.
For now. Let's not get carried away. We would love to score on a turnover, but we got to take them as they come.
Exactly. And one of the other things that we have to do in this game is that we have to run the ball. And when I say run the ball, I mean we have to control the clock and we have to control the game, especially not knowing if the weather conditions are going to be, on the downslide. And if they're on the downslide, Pittsburgh's notorious for being a bad weather team.
Yes.
But, this is a new Pittsburgh Steelers team. So we have to find a way to control this game with the running, and with bad weather, it's going to have to be short passes anyway. So we have to play that offense, that dink and dunk offense.
And I really, really hope we go back to the power run blocking and just throw this zone blocking crap out the window. You know what I mean? If we get back to the power run blocking and that doesn't work either, we're in deep doo-doo. We're in trouble.
Right.
But I truly, truly believe that was our bread and butter. And folks, everybody's got questions. Why is there no running game? Why isn't this has got to be the reason why there's no running game. When you switch from straight power run blocking to the zone blocking, that's when you mess assignments. That's where guys are not blocking. That's where Ben's getting sacked. This is why you're dropping running backs in the backfield, because people are missing their assignments.
Yes, and you're working with a young line as well.
Absolutely.
So
let's go back to straight power run blocking. I'll say it again. Straight power run blocking. Let's get this running game back where it was before.
I agree.
And we proved it last year. We had 3 different guys consecutive run over 100 yards with this power run blocking scheme.
That's it. Like you said, Big O. You heard the words of wisdom. We just have to practice it, preach it, and do it.
That's right. So this Sunday, when we have when Felix Jones runs for 100 yards, Dwyer runs for almost 100 yards, or if not more, you'll know why. They switched their blocking scheme, and it's because of Big O and Big Tiz here at Steeler Nation Live.
You know what, guys? We're going to go to commercial. When we come back from commercial, we're going to give you some of our feedback from the Facebook. The fans out there, a lot of them are a little livid right now. It's that time, so everybody's a little edgy.
But we didn't have to bleep anything out this time, Big Tiz.
So we'll get right to that right after this commercial break here on Steeler Nation Live.
4-of-a-kind consignment and resale, Jeromesville, Ohio. Everyone knows everybody. Everyone calls your friend. You don't need an invitation. Just kick off your shoes and come on in. At 4-of-a-kind consignment and resale, they have antiques, vintage items, electric items, clothing, and housewares. 4-of-a-kind consignment and resale is a 4-generation family-owned establishment that also has Muffler and More, Spade Web Design and Publishing, and Spade Enterprises, a business that loves and cares about the community. Even though they are in Ohio, 4 of a Kind Consignment and Resale has a ton of steel items for sale now and even more during the season. They're closed on Mondays, but they're open Tuesdays through Sundays. Call Heidi. Her phone number is 567-203-7858. That's Heidi at 567-203-7858. Or look for her on the web at spadeinc.com/4oak.html. They ship everywhere. Uniform Express, located on 1408 Buffalo Road, Rochester, New York, for your police, fire, or EMS supplies. One of Rochester's top and finest suppliers of shirts, pants, shoes, boots, and accessories for your professional uniform needs. Uniform Express also does embroidery and screen print for team uniforms, jerseys, and corporations. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also go to their website at www.uniformexpress.com or call Brian at 585-529-4245. That's 585-529-4245. And let Brian know you heard his ad on our show, Steeler Nation Live.
Hey guys, welcome back from the commercial. One thing we wanted to touch base on when we were talking about stats before was some of the stats that are coming out of this 0-2 or 0-3 place that the Steelers are in right now. Now, Chuck Noll was the last one that I've known of. We had of 0-3 start.
Yes, Chuck Noll had 2 0-3 starts. 2 0-3 starts. And he won 4 Super Bowls. Bill Cowher had an 0-3 start back in 2000. I think that was the last one we had was in 2000. And this is Mike Tomlin. But going back all the way, I checked back going all the way back to 2007. What week of the season did we hit our third loss, Big Tiz? And I went back, because I don't want to bore too many people, but I only went back to 2007. In 2007, Big Tiz, we had our third loss in week 11.
Wow.
2008, week 10. 2009, week 9. 2011 and 12, week 9. Then it starts to drop. 2012, week 5 is our third loss. And we all know 2013, week 3, third loss.
But you know what, that goes, people have to stay focused and know that it goes along with attrition. You got older players are being phased out from the Steelers, and we're bringing in younger players. So that's why being a real Steeler fan, you have to stand there and know that there's going to be times where a record's not going to be 8-8 or 10-6 or 11-5 or 12-4. It's that possibility. It might be 6-10. But you know what? You have to build, and you start everything from the bottom to build up to the top.
That's right, but I still say 12-4, Big Tiz.
Hey,
I'm not going to stop.
I'm not. I hope it is.
I'm not going to stop because we'll win next week, and then we win 4 or 5 in a row, and then we get that one bad game, and then we win the rest of the season. 12-4, Big Tiz.
That'd be amazing, and if it happens, you heard it here on Steeler Nation Live. So
That's
let's
right.
hope.
That's right. I would rather go into the season like this than like we did last season, win all those games and then lose everything at the end.
I agree.
Because
I
look where
agree.
it got us. Nowhere.
Yep.
Are the playoffs next week? Super Bowl next month? Let's get these losses out of the way now. This is where we learn. This is how we come together as a team and become stronger. Become stronger at the beginning of the season, so that way when you get to the end, that you have a better chance of winning that Super Bowl and getting number 7. We're gonna get it this year.
I like it. I like it.
We're gonna get
Preach it. Make it happen.
All right, let's do some Facebook.
All right.
Let's talk some Facebook and some Twitter. We have I think it's Mr. T. Wesley. I think we can agree Todd Haley's offense is a complete joke. Tiz, care to comment on that?
Well, right now the offense isn't gelling, and a lot of that, like I said, it can be attributed to a lot of things. Like I said, it also could be attributed to the fact of a young offensive line, and as you alluded to earlier, the zone blocking scheme.
Ooh.
So I mean, there's a lot of things that can play into his offense, because if you don't have blocking, no matter what kind of offensive coordinator you are, it's not going to gel too much for you.
Right, and if this is a joke, it's not very funny. I'm sorry. What about somebody else, Big Tiz?
Mr. Patrick, let's keep one head up, Steeler Nation. We had 5 turnovers and fought ourselves back in it. There is no quit in this team. What do you think about that? I'm going to let you expound on that one.
Well, Big Tiz, it shows yesterday, with everything happening, everything falling apart for the Steelers, we were still in that game. You know, take away them turnovers, Big Tiz, we win this game. We win this game. And we didn't give up. Even though we were down 24-3?
Right.
At halftime. Coming back, third quarter. And we came back 27-23.
Right.
Is what we made it. And then the fumble 6, and then the great touchdown. We have to call it like it is. That was a great pass. It was a great catch. We have to call it like it is. We can't take anything away from the Bears.
Nope.
We can't.
They came in
And
the house and they played.
The defense couldn't take anything away either. Huh, I'm sorry, folks. But anyways, we have Maddie Steele. And we know who you are, Maddie. Well, London is coming. Time to put it behind us. Which I'm guessing he's saying the 3 losses. Let's not talk about them anymore.
Right.
Ball security, making plays, and stopping opponents. Plain and simple. Coaches or personnel are not going to change. Hopefully Bell comes in and makes an impact. Time to prepare for the Vikings. Go Steelers. I'm looking forward to see if the boys can keep Peterson in check and attack Ponder. Offense has got to keep working. Care to comment?
Yeah, sure. And he said it all right there. I mean, you got to put those other losses behind you, and you got to play with who's ever in front of you, and you got to play with that tenacity, and you got to play just like it was the start of a new season. And that's what it has to be for the Steelers. The Steelers have to play like they're on track and they're starting. This is game 1 for them on the road to the Super Bowl.
Beautiful. So we got them. Keep the comments coming. Folks, tell us how you feel. If you want to sugarcoat it, fine, that's great. But we want to know how you actually are feeling, so we can relay those messages to everybody else out there who might think that they're only the ones feeling that way.
Exactly.
We're family. We'll work this out. We can do that.
And you know what, guys? We're going to also go to our favorite and our exciting part of the show where we want to talk about 3 ex-Steelers.
Yep. Trumpets, please. Drum roll. What do you want to talk about first, Big Tiz?
Well, you know what? Let's talk about Rashad Mendenhall.
Rashad Mendenhall, running back for the Arizona Cardinals. How did he do, Big Tiz?
Rashad had 9 carries for 29 yards and 0 touchdowns. Well, you have to look at it this way. Rashad is...
Rashad?
I don't know. I guess... I don't even know how to describe it, but he had a good game last week.
Yeah, it all depends on who shows up, I guess. Game time, right?
Exactly. And he almost, like I said, he almost had that fumble at the goal line. But
last week.
But he's a young kid, and I believe he's still a kid that has a lot of work ahead of him.
I believe you're right. I believe you're right. What about Mr. Mike Wallace, wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins?
Mike Wallace, 2 catches for 22 yards.
How many touchdowns, Big Tiz?
Goose egg, 0.
Boy, I'm sorry. Last week, he was, like I said on the show, that the local sports reporters were making him the biggest mistake that Pittsburgh could have made by letting him go. He has 1 good game. And what did I say last week, Big Tiz? It's 1 game.
Exactly.
Okay?
And a lot of people don't realize Mike Wallace wanted Larry Fitzgerald type money.
Yeah, but
and Larry Fitzgerald, let's get it straight. This guy is a beast.
He is. And he doesn't play like Larry Fitzgerald. And you know what, Big Tiz? If he would have played like Larry Fitzgerald, guaranteed he got the money.
Oh, yeah.
Just look what Brown got.
Exactly.
Brown got the money.
And like I said, those catches last night in the game, Brown made, would Mike Wallace have made it? Maybe, maybe not.
I don't know. He had flashbacks of Lima Swede. We all remember him. Should have stayed in Ohio State. But you know what? He's a fast guy, gets open. But the thing, Big Tiz, you gotta catch the rock.
Exactly.
You don't catch the rock, big deal. I don't care how fast. You could be Hussein or what's that guy? the lightning bolt, the track star.
You're right, Hussein.
You could be as fast as him, but you can't catch the ball. What good are you?
Exactly.
What good are you?
Well, our third part of the trio, Mr. Harrison.
Mr. Harrison. Anybody see him yesterday?
Because we didn't.
I did not watch the game. I didn't see him playing.
Well, actually, he didn't play yesterday, so
Oh boy.
that wasn't a good thing for them as well. So I don't know. It's going to be a transition thing for him as well. This guy's coming off some serious back issues.
Come on, Tiz.
And let's look at it this way. And he's also playing a different position, so it's going to be a lot of work.
Time to get off that wagon, Big Tiz. Time to get up. He had his chance. He would have made more money in Pittsburgh than he did in Cincy. Granted, his role would have been diminished for a little bit.
Right.
He wouldn't have seen as many plays, but you know what, folks? You're wearing the uniform. You're a Pittsburgh Steeler, and you're getting paid. What else do you want? You want to contribute to your team? Absolutely, that's great. You want to play every play? Fantastic. But you know what? At this point in your career, it just wasn't there anymore. But we were willing to give him another chance to be a part of this family. He didn't want it. I'm sorry. But you know what? It's time to move on, Big Tiz.
Well, you know what? Let me add this to it, though.
Go right ahead.
Could you blame a guy like him that put time in there? You put your livelihood on the line, and you're at the end of your career. So I don't fault him for trying to get a little bit more money.
Oh, sure. We all need extra cheese.
Exactly.
But you know what? When it doesn't happen, then you just roll with it.
Yeah, that's true.
You just roll with it. And you do what you can to show the coaches you can always get a raise. You can always get more money.
Right.
You have a contract for this amount, for this time, and you're producing, you're doing great. Guess what? You play more. Guess what? When that contract's over, your chances of getting re-signed are very good. But you got to keep the whining to a minimum.
I agree.
Get paid and play. I'm sorry.
You heard it here from Big O. We're going to go to commercial. When we come back, we're going to give you guys our final thoughts of the night. Next up on Steeler Nation Live.
It's Spaghetti Sports Pub, located at 2246 East River Road. A perfect blend of Irish charm and Italian cuisine. From Calabria favorites like calamari to chicken French, to the new signature dish like the Steel City Deli.
The Rothless Burger.
Everything is delicious and prepared fresh for you. They offer a full lineup of your favorite beverages with drink specials daily, and don't forget their $5 Monster Bomb.
Ice cold beer.
All day, every day. With 2 floors of seating and 20 high-def televisions, there's not a bad seat in the house to catch every minute of the NFL action.
Watch what you want.
McGinty's is the official home of the Rochester Steelers fan club.
Steelers!
So come on down to McGinty's Sports Pub, 2246 East River Road in Henrietta.
At Grease Lightning, we offer fast automotive service, specializing in oil changes and auto repairs. We offer convenient yet comprehensive maintenance and repair service, fast and no appointment necessary. At Grease Lightning, we offer the best prices on top name brands. We get you in, out, and on your way, just like Grease Lightning. Grease Lightning is locally owned and operated, so come on down to 2061 Chiley Avenue here in Rochester and talk to Charles because he's in charge. You can also call Charles at 585-563-7939 or go to our website at mygreaselightning.com.
This is Big O for Steel Nation Live with your future weather forecast for this upcoming game, September 29th, over in London, England, Wembley Stadium across the pond, where the Minnesota Vikings will host the Pittsburgh Steelers. Weather does not look good for the football players for Sunday. It's going to be 21 degrees Celsius, which is about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's going to be rain all day. It's going to be cloudy in the morning, and then it's going to pick up later in the afternoon with thunderstorms and heavy rain. So expect a nice muddy game at Wembley Stadium where the Pittsburgh Steelers will be playing the Minnesota Vikings. So that's your future forecast weather from London, England. Big O, SteelNationLive.net.
Hey guys, welcome back, Still a Nation Live. Big Tiz.
Big O.
Hey, we're here for our final thoughts of the night, and I'm going to start off the show, the ending of the show, to give you my final thoughts here. You know what? I like the direction that the Steelers are trying to go into, but like anybody else out there, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a fan that's kind of frustrated. I'm frustrated by the losses. 0-3. Sometimes when the game comes on, I kind of shudder to say, you know what, should I turn the TV on or should I just listen to it because I don't want to see it? You know what? But the thing about it is, being a hardcore Steelers fan, you have to be in it, whether it's going good or whether it's going bad. So I sit there and I watch these games and I try to critique it and try to look at the good things that I could pull out of this game. And the Steelers do have some good things. Like we alluded to earlier in the show, the Steelers have the run game that's going right. And so it's going in the direction that I want to see. At least there are times when Ben backs up with the ball in the passing game, and he's still standing upright. So you have to look at everything as a positive sometimes. And just like any other team that's out there that goes through long, hard struggles, you have to be there to support your team, and you have to look at some of the positives. You have the New York Jets right now, who are a team that's in the middle somewhere trying to find themselves, but you still see that game, you go to that game is sold out. That game is sold out because those guys support their squads. And if you're a Steelers fan, that's one thing I want to know. It's all right to sometimes feel a certain way and bash your team and feel hard about it. But in the end, you got to be there and stand with that black and gold proudly on your chest. Support the squad and let them know that you're there for them. So if you still see a Steelers fan today, give them a hug, give them a kiss, or do whatever you want to do. But make sure it's within the rules of the football game. You heard that from Still Nation Live, Big Tiz.
Big O, and it's a 5-star show. Why is that, Big Tiz? Because we're in it.
I love it.
Remember that. Now, we didn't touch base on this during the whole show because I think it's irrelevant, but something that I want to talk about right now briefly in my little rant. Mike Tomlin on the hot seat. Should he even be on the hot seat? Should there even be talk about Mike Tomlin being fired? Well, let me tell you something, folks. The one thing that Mike Tomlin has to do is he needs to get away from the idea that, hey, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and do something about the failing team, okay? Start finding his players. Don't bench them. Find them. Get them where it hurts, in the pocketbook. And I guarantee you, these assignments that are being missed probably won't be missed anymore. Let's get the facts here. Mike Tomlin is not the one throwing the interceptions. Mike Tomlin is not the one fumbling the ball. Mike Tomlin is not the one creating turnovers. He's the coach, okay? Let's get where it is. No blocking. Why is there no blocking? We talked about this earlier. When you switch from a power run blocking because you're a running team and you switch to this zone blocking stuff and it's not working, well, folks, we have to talk to Jack Bicknell Jr., the offensive line coach. It's not working. Okay, folks? The thing that happens right now is that overconfidence and complacency is killing us. Like I said earlier about Mike Tomlin, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. You need to get away from that. Okay? We are not playing like the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you got to throw that out the window. So back to what I talked about last week. Ale Big Tiz. Ale folks at home. For those of you who missed last show, ale is what I came up with. Big Tiz as well. Ale. A stands for accountability. We have to be accountable for our mistakes. We have to be accountable for our blocking schemes. We have to be accountable for us. When we make mistakes, the players each has to stand up and be accountable for it. You need to know your job. You need to know your role. L, leadership. We need a leader out there. Ben's running for his life. You can't be a leader running for your life. You can't expect people to follow you if you're running for your life. You can't expect to be a leader if you're throwing the ball away. You cannot be a good leader if you're fumbling the ball. Let's say what it is, folks. You can't be a good leader unless you're a follower. You have to have people following you to be a good leader. And if that's not happening, leadership's out the window. E, execution. You call in the plays, you have to execute them, which means you have to do them. Just don't go out there and run through the motions. If you're supposed to block, you have a blocking assignment, you need to do it and follow through with it. If you're running the ball, you need to go into the right holes. You need to know where you're running the ball. And if you're a receiver, huge. You have to know the route you're running because you know what? Ben's back there running for his life. He doesn't have time to look for you. He's got the time to throw the ball where you're supposed to be. If you're not there, Perfect example, Kotchery. He was there, didn't turn to look for the ball, but you know what? Like Big Tiz pointed out, the defender was, and guess what? Pick 6. We have to stop doing that. Okay? Accountability, leadership, execution. We need to do that. We do, and we win ball games. I'm very happy and impressed with our team against the Bears. However, we lost. But you know what? It shows that we're not giving up. It shows that we're not throwing in the towel. It's 3 games, but a lot of teams do that, and they fold early. We cannot do that. And it showed Sunday when the Pittsburgh Steelers came back from a 24-3 halftime deficit to come back and make it a ball game. But when you give the ball away, it's not Christmas. You will lose games. I'm Big O.
I'm Big Tiz. You heard it here live on Still a Nation Live. You know what, guys? We love the support and everything there, the feedback that we're getting here from Facebook and Twitter and things like that. So you guys continue to do that. And also, like you said, we do our audio shows from time to time here on TalkShoe Live, TalkShoe.com Live. So you guys can call in and talk with us, talk with Big Tiz, Big O, and we'll answer you, talk to you, get your calls. So we love the support that you're giving us here on Still a Nation Live. So again, from Big Tiz,
Big O.
We'll see you next week on Still a Nation Live.
Across the pond.
Big Tiz.
Yeah.
Big O.
Bangers and bangs.
Big Tiz.
Love it.
Big O.
Guinness.
Big Tiz. Big O. Still a nation, man. Yeah. Mr. Stone. Big O. Yeah, I had to say it was a stone, man. You know. Cause you know, it is a stone, man. Yeah. Big Tiz. Big O. Big Tiz. Yeah. The name of the future. And with the name of the future. With the name of the future. And with the name of the future. Hey. Yeah. Shout out to Big Tiz, man. And Big O. It's still a nation, man. Yeah. Big Tiz. Big O. You know what it is, man. It's still a nation, man. Big O. Yeah. Big O. Every night on Monday night, man. Hey. 7 to 8 on Monday night. Big O. Big Tiz. And it's a stump. And it's still a nation. Big Tiz. Big O. It's Big Tiz. Big O. It's still a nation. Big Tiz. Big O. Big Tiz. Big O. It's still a nation, man. Yeah. Mr. Stump. Big O. Yeah, I had to say it was a stump, man. You know. Cause you know, it is a stump, man. Yeah. Big Tiz. Big O. Big Tiz. Yeah.